The cry in the night the space station floated quietly above the red planet, its lights blinking softly in the endless darkness. The corridors were silent, the crew either asleep or busy in their quarters. But in the middle of the calm, a sound cut through like a blade, a sharp, desperate cry. It wasn't the cry of an alarm or the sound of machinery. It was the sound of a baby, but not a human baby. The voice was high-pitched, trembling, almost like a song that had been broken in half. It echoed again, softer, then louder, then sharper. The sound made anyone who heard it stop and listen in the medbay. A small group of crew members gathered around a glowing cradle. Inside, it was a tiny alien baby wrapped in a silver blanket. Her skin was pale with a faint shimmer, her hair soft and white as snow, and her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. The baby's small hands waved in the air as if searching for something. Her cries were steady, as if she was calling for someone who wasn't there. A medic named Arla tried to feed her, but the baby pushed the bottle away and cried harder. Another crew member tried to rock her gently, but she turned her face away, refusing all comfort. They had been trying for hours, and nothing worked. She won't stop. Arla whispered, her voice tired. It's like she doesn't want us at all. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They all knew the story. The baby had been found drifting alone on a damaged ship 2 days ago. The ship's life support was failing, and all the other passengers were dead. The scans showed she had no serious injuries, but she refused to calm down for anyone. Then the door to the medbay slid open with a soft hiss. A tall man in a dark uniform stepped inside. His name was Captain Raylan, leader of the station's security unit. He had been woken from sleep by the sound of the crying echoing through the halls. He walked closer, his boots quiet against the floor. The baby's cries were still loud, but as soon as he came near the cradle, they changed. Her voice softened, her tiny eyes locked onto his face. Raylan stopped, looking down at her. Something in her expression made him freeze. It wasn't fear or anger, it was recognition, as if she had seen him before. Slowly, he reached down, his large hands careful, and lifted her from the cradle. The silver blanket shifted around her as she curled against his chest. Her small fingers gripped his shirt tightly. The crying stopped completely, replaced by a soft sigh. The room fell silent. Every crew member stared, mouths slightly open. She stopped, Arla said quietly, as if she couldn't believe it. Raylan looked at the baby in his arms. She was warm, almost too warm, but not in a dangerous way. More like she carried her own little son inside her. He felt her heart beat against his chest, and to his surprise, it matched his own rhythm perfectly. The baby blinked up at him, her glowing eyes slowly closing as she relaxed. In less than a minute, she was asleep. Arla stepped closer, scanning the baby again. "This is impossible," she said. "Her pulse is perfectly synced with yours." Captain Raylan frowned slightly. "What does that mean?" "It might be imprinting," Arla replied. "Some alien species choose a protector for life. It's instinct. Like breathing, once it happens, the bond can't be broken." Raylan glanced down at the baby again, "And she chose me." Arla nodded slowly. It seemed so. There was a mix of awe and worry in the room. Some whispered that if the baby came from a royal alien family, Raylan could now be connected to powerful allies or dangerous enemies. Others wondered if keeping her would bring trouble to the station. Raylan ignored them. His arms tightened slightly around the baby. She stirred, but didn't wake. He knew one thing. He wasn't going to let anyone take her from him outside the medbay, the station's massive observation windows showed the cold beauty of space. Stars burned quietly, far away, but hidden among them. Dark shapes moved ships without lights, drifting closer, scanning for something. The baby's tiny hand twitched in her sleep, gripping his shirt tighter, as if she knew danger was already on its way. Raylan didn't see the ships yet, but Deep inside, he felt it. That same strange warmth from holding her was mixed with a cold sense of warning. He didn't know why, but he whispered softly to her. "Don't worry, little one. I've got you, somewhere in the darkness beyond the station." Unseen eyes had just found what they were looking for, and they would stop at nothing to take her back. Raylon carried the alien baby out of the medbay and into the quiet corridor. The soft lights above hummed gently, and the distant sound of the station's engines vibrated through the walls. The baby didn't cry, didn't fuss. She only clung to his uniform as if letting go would mean losing something forever. He stopped by the viewing deck, the vast stars stretching endlessly beyond the glass. The baby's silver eyes opened slightly, glowing faintly. In the darkness, she seemed to be watching the stars too, her breathing slow and calm. Raylan thought about what Arla had said, imprinting the words stuck in his mind. He had never heard of such a thing happening with a human before. It was supposed to be rare, even among alien species, and yet here she was, holding on to him like he was the only safe thing in the galaxy. Footsteps approached from behind. It was Lieutenant Daron, his second in command. Daron's face showed both curiosity and concern. "Captain," he said quietly, "the crew is talking. Some think this connection is a blessing. Others think it's a curse." Raylan turned slightly. "She's just a baby, Darren." "That's what worries them," Darren replied. "No ordinary baby makes every machine in the medbay flicker when she cries. No ordinary baby survives a dead ship in deep space." Raylan didn't answer. He knew Daron was right. There was more to this child than they understood. But the thought of giving her to someone else made his chest tighten. The baby shifted in his arms, making a soft sound like a half-formed word. Raylan looked down at her, and for a moment he thought she was trying to speak. Her tiny mouth moved, her glowing eyes locking onto his. Daron stepped closer, scanning her face. Did she just say something? Raylan shook his head slowly. Not yet, but deep inside, he wasn't sure. They returned to the medbay, so the baby could be checked again. Arla was waiting with a portable scanner. "Captain, hold her still," she said. The device hummed as it passed over the child. The readings flashed on the small screen, heartbeat perfectly matching Raylan's. Body temperature slightly above normal, brain activity unusually high. "There's something else," Arla said, frowning at the data. "She's responding to your presence on a neurological level. Captain, her stress levels drop to 0 when you're near, but rise dangerously the moment you step away." Raylan raised an eyebrow. "So, I can't leave her side, not unless you want her to panic," Arla replied. "This isn't just emotional. Her body is reacting like you're part of her survival system." That thought sank in deep. Raylan had been responsible for soldiers, ships, and civilians before, but never for someone this small, this fragile. And yet, she didn't feel fragile in his arms. She felt important, vital, like she mattered more than his own life. A sudden beep came from the console. Daron moved to check it. "Captain," he said, his voice tense, "we've picked up faint energy signatures just outside sensor range. No transponder codes, no communication signals. Whoever they are, they don't want to be found." Raylan's grip on the baby tightened slightly. The warmth of her small body pressed against his chest was now mixed with the cold edge of alertness. He turned to Arla. "Prepare the medbay for lockdown." "No one comes in or out without my order." Arla nodded, already securing the doors. Raylan left the medbay and headed toward the command deck. The baby stayed calm in his arms, her tiny fingers gripping the fabric of his sleeve. On the command deck, screens displayed the surrounding space, empty at first glance. But the long-range sensors told another story, faint blurs moving slowly in the darkness. "Just beyond the safe zone, they're watching us," Darren muttered, "waiting for something." Raylan kept his voice steady. "They're waiting." For us to make a mistake, the baby made a small sound again, and Raylan looked down. Her eyes were fixed in the direction of the unknown ships. It was as if she could sense them, even without the sensors. A chill ran through him. He moved to a quieter corner of the deck, speaking softly to her. "You know, don't you? You know they're here for you." Her eyes blinked slowly, and she nestled closer to him. Her breathing stayed calm, almost as if she trusted him to handle whatever was coming. Hours passed, but the ships did not move closer. They lingered, just outside range, patient predators in the dark. Raylan stayed on the command deck with the baby in his arms the entire time. Refusing to let her go, when his shift ended, he didn't return to his quarters. Instead, he went back to the medbay and sat in the chair beside her cradle. She was already asleep, but when he tried to lay her down, she stirred and reached for him, a tiny whimper in her voice. He sighed, picked her up again, and she relaxed instantly. It was clear she wasn't going to sleep without him nearby. Raylan leaned back in the chair, holding her close. His eyes stayed on the locked medbay door. He didn't trust the quiet. Didn't trust the space outside, somewhere out there. Someone was waiting for the moment to strike, and when they came, he would be ready. The station was quiet, but Raylan's mind was not. He had barely slept. The alien baby was curled against his chest, her soft breathing a steady rhythm that almost calmed him. Almost. The faint sensor readings from the night before still haunted him. Whoever those ships belonged to, they hadn't left. They were still out there, hidden, watching. Raylan knew he needed answers. The baby wasn't just any lost child. There was a reason her cries had stopped for him alone. There was a reason strangers in the dark wanted her. He made his way to the secure archive room, a place few were allowed to enter. The crew's old historian, an elderly alien named Havel, was there. His eyes were pale and wise, his thin hands moving slowly over ancient star maps. "I need to know," Raylan said quietly, "where she came from." Havel glanced at the sleeping baby in Raylan's arms. His expression shifted. First surprise, then something heavier. "You shouldn't have brought her here," he whispered. "If the wrong ears hear this, you'll both be dead." Raylan's jaw tightened. "Then speak quietly." Havel hesitated, then began to open encrypted files. The images that appeared were grainy but powerful. A tall alien couple dressed in royal colors standing before a crowd of thousands. Between them was a child's cradle, small and silver. "That," Havel said, pointing, "is the last royal family of the Letheri, a proud people, powerful, but always hunted by their enemies." Raylan looked closer. The baby in the image had the same silver eyes, the same faint shimmer to her skin. "What happened to them?" Raylan asked. Havel's voice grew heavy. "They were betrayed during peace talks. Their ship was destroyed. All aboard were thought dead. If the child survived, it would mean she is the only living heir to the Letheri throne." Raylan's grip on the baby tightened. "And if her enemies find out, they will kill her before she can grow, before she can claim her people's loyalty." Havel said, "They may even destroy anyone who protects her." Raylan didn't flinch. His eyes stayed on the sleeping baby. "Then I'll make sure they never get the chance." Havel shook his head slowly. "You don't understand, Captain. The Letheri do not bond easily, but when they do, it is for life. If she has chosen you, there is no law, no army, no galaxy that will break it." Raylan didn't need convincing. He had already decided. The child was his responsibility now, and nothing, not politics, not war, would change that. As he left the archive, the corridor lights flickered for a moment. Raylan stopped, looking around. The baby stirred in his arms but did not wake. Darren's voice came over the comm, urgent. "Captain, you need to see this." Raylan hurried to the command deck. Darren stood by the main screen, his face pale. "They're closer," he said. "The unknown ships have moved in. just outside weapons. Range on the display. Faint dark shapes glided through space like predators circling prey. No lights, no markings, no transmissions. "They're testing us," Raylan muttered. Seeing how far they can push before we react, the baby made a small sound, and Raylan instinctively held her closer. His eyes never left the screen. One of the officers turned from her console. "Sir, we picked up a short encrypted burst from the direction of the ships. We couldn't crack it completely, but there was one word in our language." Raylan's gaze sharpened. "What word?" The officer swallowed air. The word hung in the air like a blade. Everyone on the deck glanced at the baby in Raylan's arms. "Lock down the station," Raylan ordered, his voice cold. "No one comes in or out without my order. Prepare." For possible boarding, the crew moved quickly, sealing hatches, activating security fields. The baby shifted again, her tiny hand clutching his uniform tightly. That night, Raylan didn't return to his quarters. He stayed on the command deck. Watching the shadows outside, the baby slept beside him, her small form wrapped in the silver blanket. In the early hours, the historian Havel sent him another message. This one was a single sentence, crypted and hidden from the station's records. It read, "The bond you share with her will be your greatest strength and your greatest danger." Raylan read it twice, then looked at the sleeping child. Her breathing was calm, her face peaceful. He didn't know how or why, but he already felt the truth of those words. Somewhere in the darkness, the enemy waited. Their patience would not last forever, and when they came, they wouldn't just be hunting an alien child. They'd be coming for his daughter. Asterisk, the station lights dimmed to night mode. But Raylan didn't rest. He stood by the wide observation window, the alien baby asleep in his arms. Outside, the blackness of space stretched forever, but hidden. Within it were the hunters, patient and silent. For 2 days they had lingered at the edge of sensor range, ships with no markings, no signals. Only dark shadows gliding through the void. Raylan knew what they wanted. He also knew the longer they want. They or so knew the longer they waited, the more dangerous they became. The baby stirred, making a soft noise. Her silver eyes opened briefly. She looked past Raylan toward the glass, as if she could see the enemy ships through the darkness. Then she pressed her small face into his chest and went back to sleep. Darren entered quietly, his voice low. "Captain, the council is asking if we should hand her over." Raylan turned sharply. "No. They say it's for the safety of the station," Darren replied. "They think keeping her here puts everyone in danger." Raylan's voice was like steel. "She's not cargo. She's not a bargaining chip. She stays with me." Duran hesitated, then gave a small nod. "Then you should see this." He led Raylan to the command deck. The main screen showed a map of the sector. A new cluster of red dots blinked on the edge of the display. "They've brought reinforcements," Darren said grimly. 6 more ships just arrived. Raylan studied the pattern. "They're surrounding us, slowly tightening the net." The baby shifted again in his arms, letting out a tiny whimper at that same moment. One of the officers reported, "Sir, energy fluctuations detected. Our outer defense grid just shut down." Raylan's eyes narrowed. "How?" "No power loss," the officer replied. "It's as if something ordered it to stop." Raylan glanced at the baby. She was awake now, her glowing eyes fixed on the flickering screens. He remembered Arla's words. Machines reacted to her emotions. If she could do that accidentally, what else could she do? An alarm blared, multiple inbound signatures. "They're coming in fast." "Battle stations," Raylan ordered. "Seal every hatch. Arm the defense cannons." The crew moved quickly. The station's heavy guns powered up, turrets turning toward the approaching enemy ships. The first volley came without warning. Blinding streaks of energy slammed into the station's shields, shaking the decks. The baby cried out. Startled by the impact, her small body trembled. Raylan moved toward the medbay, shouting over the comm, "Duran, keep them busy. I'm getting her to safety." He reached the medbay, but the doors hissed and refused to open. The control panel was dead. "Override," Raylan growled. Smashing the emergency switch, the doors slid open and he stepped inside. Sealing them behind him, Arla was already there, gathering supplies. "We can't hold them off forever," she said, her voice tight. "If they breach, they'll head straight here." Raylan knew she was right. "We're leaving." Arla stared at him, leaving the station. "In the middle of an attack?" "Yes," he replied. "We've got a small courier ship prepped in Bay 6. It's fast, unmarked. We can outrun them." The station shook again under another blast. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. The baby clung to Raylan's uniform, her cries cutting through the chaos. They moved quickly through the corridors. Avoiding main routes, security doors slammed shut behind them, locking out the sound of running footsteps and shouting crew. When they reached Bay 6, the courier ship was ready. Its engines hummed, waiting. Darren's voice came over the comm. "Captain, we can cover your launch, but once you're out there, you're on your own." "Understood," Raylan said. He secured the baby in a crash seat beside his own. She watched him with wide, tear-filled eyes. The bay doors opened, revealing the black ocean of space. Enemy ships moved like predators in the distance. "Hold on," Raylan said quietly. His hands gripped the controls, and the courier ship shot forward, weaving through the first line of enemy fire. Darren's voice came again, strained. "We're drawing them off. Go, Captain, go." Raylan pushed the engines to full. The stars stretched into thin lines as the courier leaped into faster-than-light travel. The station vanished behind them. For a long moment, there was silence. Only the hum of the ship's engines and the baby's soft breathing. Raylan glanced at her. She was calmer now, almost as if she knew they were safe, for the moment. But he knew the truth. This was only the beginning. The chase had started, and their enemies would not stop until they had her. Somewhere ahead lay the uncharted paths, the hidden worlds, and maybe a place where she could grow without fear. But getting there would mean outrunning death itself. The courier ship raced through the dark, stars flashing past like streaks of silver. Raylan kept his eyes on the navigation display. Searching for a safe path, the baby was strapped beside him, wrapped in her silver blanket, her tiny hands gripping the fabric tightly. For a few hours, there was peace. But peace in deep space never lasted long. The sensors suddenly flared red. Multiple ships emerging from faster-than-light travel behind them. "They found us," Raylan muttered, his hands tightened on the controls. He pushed the engines harder, but the gap was closing fast. The baby stirred, her silver eyes opening. She looked toward the back of the ship as if she could feel the danger coming. Her lips trembled, and a soft whimper escaped her. Raylan glanced at her briefly. "Not now, little one. We need to be quiet." The comm unit crackled to life. A cold, mechanical voice spoke. "Human vessel, surrender the child. No harm will come to you." Raylan's jaw tightened. "Not a chance," he said under his breath. His fingers danced over the weapons console, activating the ship's small defense turrets. The first enemy shots slammed into their shields. The ship shook violently, warning lights flashing. The baby cried out, her voice high and sharp. Something strange happened. The lights in the cockpit flickered, the shield systems surged, and for a brief second, the power output doubled. Raylan's eyes widened. It's her. She's boosting the systems with the extra power. The ship's shields held against the next barrage. Raylan turned the courier sharply. Weaving between two enemy vessels, one turret fired, striking a pursuer's engines and sending it spinning away. But more ships closed in, surrounding them on three sides. The cold voice came again. "Last warning, human, surrender the air." Raylan's reply was sharp. "She's not your heir. She's my daughter." The baby's cries grew louder. The ship's consoles sparked as if responding to her emotions. The defense systems roared to life, firing in all directions. Enemy fighters swarmed around them like insects. Raylan's hands moved quickly, rolling the ship, diving through narrow gaps. Each blast of enemy fire missed by inches. One fighter locked onto them with a missile. The targeting alarm wailed. Raylan's mind raced at the last second. He cut the engines and rolled hard to the side. The missile streaked past and hit another enemy ship, destroying it in a flash of light. But the damage to his own vessel was growing. Panels smoked, warning lights glowed red. The shields were down to 20%. Raylan's voice was low and steady. "We're not done yet." He diverted the last of the auxiliary power to weapons and shields. "Hold on, little one." He charged straight at the lead enemy ship. The baby's cries rose again, and the ship's systems surged with one final burst of power. The forward cannons fired at full strength, smashing through the enemy's shield and tearing open its hull. The explosion blinded the other pursuers for a moment. Raylan used that opening to dive into a dense asteroid field. The massive rocks spun slowly in the dark. Creating a dangerous maze, the courier weaved through the debris. Scraping past jagged stone, enemy ships tried to follow, but two collided with asteroids and were destroyed. The rest pulled back, unwilling to risk more losses. When they finally cleared the far side of the asteroid field, the sensors showed no pursuers. Raylan exhaled slowly. His hands trembled slightly, but his grip on the controls stayed firm. The baby had stopped crying. She looked at him with wide, calm eyes, as if she knew he had fought for her and won. Raylan unstrapped her and held her close. "We're still here," he whispered, "and I'm not letting anyone take you." The courier drifted into a quieter part of space, hidden from the main trade routes, but Raylan knew it wouldn't last. The enemy had seen what the baby could do, and now they would hunt them harder than ever. This battle was over. But the war for her safety had only begun. The courier ship floated in the quiet shadows of a drifting asteroid. Its engines were powered down, and only the emergency lights glowed faintly inside. Raylan sat in the pilot's seat, the alien baby resting in his arms. Her breathing was slow. Her small fingers curled around the fabric of his sleeve. They had been hiding for almost 12 hours, waiting to see if any enemy ships had followed them. The sensors showed nothing, but Raylan knew better than to relax. Hunters like these didn't give up easily. He looked down at the baby. She was awake now, her glowing silver eyes watching him closely. There was something in her gaze, not just curiosity, but trust, complete and unquestioning. "You're calmer now," Raylan murmured. His voice was softer than he meant it to be. He had been a soldier most of his life. He had commanded fleets, faced storms in space, and fought battles on alien worlds. But nothing in his life had prepared him for this, for the weight of such a small life depending on him completely. A soft beep from the console broke the moment. It wasn't an enemy signal. It was an alert for supplies. The food stores were running low, and water reserves were half empty. Raylan sighed. "Looks like we'll have to make a stop." He knew a place, an old trading post on the edge of a forgotten route. It wasn't on most maps, and its owner owed him a favor. Still, he would have to be careful. One wrong word from the wrong person, and news of the baby could spread faster than light. Hours later, the courier slid quietly into the dock of the trading post. The station was old, its metal walls covered in patches and scars from years of wear. A faint smell of oil and spice hung in the air. Raylan kept the baby close as he stepped out. Her small head rested against his chest. Hidden by the silver blanket, he walked straight to a small shop tucked into the far corner of the station. An Older human woman stood behind the counter. Her sharp eyes softened when she saw him. "Raylan," she said with a smile. "It's been a long time." "Too long," he replied, keeping his tone casual. "I need supplies, food, water." "Fuel cells." The woman's gaze drifted to the small bundle in his arms. "And who's this?" she asked, her voice curious but gentle. Raylan's grip tightened slightly. "A friend's child. I'm looking after her." The woman studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "You always did take in strays." She said quietly. She didn't ask more questions. Instead, she began packing the supplies he needed. While she worked, the baby peeked out from the blanket, her glowing eyes catching the woman's attention. For a brief second, the older woman froze. Recognition flickered across her face, but she said nothing. She simply handed Raylan the bags and whispered, "You should go quickly, old friend." Raylan understood. Someone had noticed, maybe more than one. He left the shop, heading back toward the ship, but halfway there, his instincts screamed. 3 figures stepped out from a side corridor. Their clothes were rough, their eyes cold, and their hands rested on concealed weapons. One of them spoke. "Nice baby you've got there, Captain." Raylan's body shifted slightly, placing himself fully between them and the child. "Walk away," he said calmly. The tallest of the 3 smirked. "We've got friends who'd pay a fortune for her." Raylan's eyes hardened. "You're not going to touch her." The next seconds were fast. The man reached for a weapon, but Raylan moved quicker. A sharp strike to the arm sent the weapon clattering to the floor. The other 2 lunged, but Raylan twisted away, using his free arm to shove one into the wall. The baby cried out, startled, her small hands gripping his shirt. Something in the air shifted. The station lights above flickered. A sudden power surge knocked the thugs off balance. Raylan didn't waste the moment, he ran, his boots pounding against the metal floor. He reached the courier, sealing the hatch behind him. Engines roared to life, and the ship shot away from the dock. The baby's cries faded as he held her close, murmuring softly until she calmed. Once they were far from the station, Raylan sat in the pilot's seat. Breathing hard, he looked down at her. "You saved us again, didn't you?" She looked up at him, her glowing eyes soft. She reached out and touched his cheek with a tiny hand. For a moment, Raylan forgot the danger, the enemies, the chase. All he saw was the bond between them, growing stronger with every heartbeat. He knew now she wasn't just a responsibility, she was family. And he would fight the whole galaxy if that's what it took to keep her safe. The stars ahead burned bright, but Raylan's focus was on the radar. A fleet was forming behind them, larger than anything they had faced before. Dozens of enemy ships closing in fast. The baby slept in his arms, unaware of the danger. Her small head rested against his chest, breathing soft and even. Raylan wished she could stay in that peaceful world forever, but the galaxy had other plans. The cum crackled, a cold, familiar voice filled the cockpit. "Human, this is your last chance. Hand over the heir, and you may live." Raylan's eyes hardened. "She's not the heir to you. She's my daughter." Silence followed. Then the enemy voice returned, colder than before. "Then you will die with her." The fleet split into 2 wings, trying to surround them. Raylan knew there was no running this time. They would have to fight. He strapped the baby into the crash seat beside him, the silver blanket wrapped snugly around her. Her eyes opened, watching him quietly. He leaned close. "Stay with me, little one. Whatever happens, I'm here." The first enemy shots streaked past Raylan, through the courier, into a roll. Returning fire from the forward cannons, 2 enemy fighters exploded, but more closed in. The baby made a soft sound, and the lights in the cockpit flickered. Power surged through the ship's systems. Shields jumped to full strength. Weapons charged faster than they should. Raylan felt the connection between them like a pulse in his chest. "All right," he murmured, gripping the controls, "let's end this." The courier shot forward, weaving between enemy ships. Cannons roared. Blasting through shields and hulls, Raylan fought with precision, each move timed perfectly. Enemy vessels fell one after another, but the largest ship, a massive black cruiser, stayed ahead. Its heavy guns turned toward them, preparing to fire. Raylan knew one hit from those weapons would destroy them. He pushed the engines to maximum, charging straight at the cruiser. Enemy fire lit up the space around them. Shields screamed under the strain. The baby began to cry, but it wasn't fear. It was something else. The power in the ship surged again. Stronger than ever, lights blazed, consoles glowed, and the engines roared like thunder. Raylan aimed directly for the cruiser's forward gun array. At the last second, he unleashed every weapon the courier had. The combined blast tore through the enemy's shields and shattered the massive gun. The cruiser erupted in a chain of explosions, its hull breaking apart. The remaining enemy ships broke formation, retreating into the dark. The comm went silent. Raylan slowed the ship, scanning the field. The enemy was gone, for now. He unstrapped the baby and lifted her into his arms. She was tired but calm, her glowing eyes watching him. He smiled faintly. We did it. In that quiet moment, he understood something. It wasn't just about protecting her anymore. It was about giving her a life, a future where she could grow, laugh, and be free. He set the course for the fortress world, the safest place he knew. The journey would be long, but they would make it together. As the stars stretched before them, Raylan whispered to her, "No matter where we go, no matter who comes for us, you'll never face them alone." The baby rested her head on his shoulder, and for the first time since he found her, Raylan felt something close to peace. But deep in his heart, he knew this wasn't the end of their story. It was only the beginning.